Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and tonight I'm proud to bring you the Enchanted Self with Dr. Barbara Becker Holstein. Greetings and welcome, Barbara. How are you?
I am great. I am a little tired because we spent the last few weeks making a film, and it's one of the things I want to talk about. I'm very excited, and I'm particularly excited to bring you, Hercules, together with Joe Minnella because you both have so much talent and insight and wisdom. And that's great because a lot of men hide some of that or they don't have it. I'm not sure which, but probably they hide it. But here we sit with so many creative things going on right now. And I want Joe to tell a little bit from his perspective of the film we're working on, what he's feeling about it, and what a little bit about what it's about now. And then I'll back up and talk a little bit about how this film started. I think it'll be interesting. So,
Sure.
Joe, I know you're limited to 20 minutes or so, so uh, why don't you come in right now if you can?
Yeah, well, when I met you, I was really looking for everything, work, but also projects, specifically film projects, and you had some stories and this one just really hit with me. I was like, wow, I can really see putting a lot of myself into this project, and you were gave me the ability to rewrite the script that had been done by the gentleman. I forget his name. And then we went forward with the film. And like I said, being around the age of the characters in the story, it was pretty easy for me, like at this stage and being married as well, to put myself into that story and really it made it easy in the screenwriting process, the directing process, like everything was just smooth and easy. Luckily we had a very talented cast that obviously helped things along and helped things move along quickly. And I'm just happy that it's all in the can now. I can't wait to I want to watch it now. I want it to be done, so I'll be editing it over the course of the next month or two. Then we'll start putting it to film festivals.
Well, for those people who are listening or watching us, let me jump in and make it a little more something they can grasp by telling them the title, which is I Had an Affair with My Husband. And that in and of itself, usually when people hear that title, they become curious. What is that all about? And if you're married, what is she talking about or what is he talking about? And I think what makes it so engaging for people to think about the title is that we do have so many different stages of marriage and what it's all about. And actually, Hercules, I knew you before you met the woman of your lifetime. You know, if you remember Hercules, and got to meet her also. You came to my house a couple of times and we did some filming there. And both of you seem to have found your partners, and that's marvelous. So that's unusual too in today's world.
We've both been married twice before. Third time's a charm. Now we've been together for over 20 years.
Yes, yes, to a lovely, lovely woman. Yeah. And but I think for you, Joe, it's your first marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so anyway, the truth is that this is a film that very much is was created because my husband and I lived through many of the aspects that are in the film. And in the very beginning, I wrote the very original draft of the story for the film. Not for a film, I wrote a story. And then it went, as you said, to this fine fellow who's I'm blocking too his name.
Did
And he,
Francesco, right?
yeah, Francesco, he did a great job cleaning it up so it would be in the style that could be a film. I felt it was in a very good style that it could be a short book, like a novella, which
Mhm.
I may still do because once the film comes out, then it's maybe even more advantageous to do a novella around it and put in, I was just looking at my notes and I've got, pages and pages of notes about who these people are and how they grew up and how they found each other. And, that all of that was nothing to do with my husband and myself. That was all fiction.
Sure.
But falling in love with a certain new aspect to my husband. I don't know. I don't know if I should even give it away at this point because we want some mystery around what it's all about. But seeing him in a new light made me feel differently about the marriage at that point. And I think that that's something that can happen to people in many different ways and make the marriage even tighter, or at times make the marriage perhaps more risky. You know, I think Hercules, I think you've had a lot of connection with your wife through different groups you belong to and stuff. Am I correct?
That's correct. I was publishing a magazine at one point. She was one of the writers for the magazine. And it turns out that we've crossed paths in childhood, at conventions, in certain stores in New Jersey, during certain periods of our life. And that came about when we were dating. I saw some pictures on the wall and I recognized them from my own memories. I said, "Who is this young lady?" It was her when she was 11. And I said, "Were you at the Famous Monsters convention, the first one?" She goes, "Yes, I was." I said, "I was looking at you. When I was 11, we're the same age. I had a beard and I was very large. So I was looking at her, and some man whose picture is there too said, what the hell are you doing?" And it turned out that was her father. So I saw the pictures and it woke a memory, and that made the connection too. But we've been part of each other's lives without even knowing it for a while.
Very interesting. And haven't you belonged to different groups? I've seen you in different uniforms and costumes over the years.
Yes, and I had put together a Star Trek group at one point, and I was exploring storytelling uh, through popular culture icons for a while, and that's when I published the magazine. And she used to dress up in costume also, so we interacted there as well. So
Yeah, yeah.
it's very interesting. Now I've encountered other people who were also there in my life in the past too. One of the hosts for the show, there's around 10 years of our paths crossing without connecting also. So he's a friend now as well.
So that's very interesting. I want to keep Joe in because we'll lose him. Joe, did you know your wife through other circles or any strange meetings or anything sort of mystical?
No,
No.
just met her through my mom in the boardwalk in Belmar. And
Well, your mom may have been in touch with some angels. We don't know that.
sure. Well, yeah, of course.
So, um, so tell the audience what you hope will happen, not only to the film, but perhaps in your work in general in the next 5 or 10 years.
Well, I mean, look, I make a living with a camera, camera and editing and all the things that I've been doing in that space. And it's been almost like a tease because up until the last couple of years, it's been really client based work. And this year, especially this year, I finally got some good projects that I got to work on as a director. And it's like, it was like getting bit by the bug for me, where I'm like, this is where I feel the most comfortable, the most natural. Like I want this to be my life. I want to be going to a set every single day and doing this, like talking to actors, like blocking scenes out, doing these things. Like I love it. If this can be another step toward that for me, that would be the greatest thing on earth. But in that, I don't look at projects just as a stepping stone. I think this is a very special project. Like the story that you wrote spoke to me. Like when I took it and rewrote the script, like it literally took me a couple hours. Like it was so easy. It flowed right out. Like I've never had such a connection to a project where I was like, this is simple to do, and I think that I always felt like there's probably I always said, how do I put this? The whole art of film of role playing in a marriage, and I always wondered, I was gonna write my own script about something like that. Like, what would that be like if a couple almost kind of got lost in it, and
Mhm.
at first it's fun and then it becomes resentful. And you already had a story that was kind of in that direction. I think,
Yes.
and I don't want to give too much away, but I don't know what your original story ever looked like. I only got to see Francesco's version of the script,
Mhm.
which
Mhm.
kind of it dipped its toe into the water of the sexual component of it, and then I kind of just dove more into the water on it because
Mhm.
I thought, number one, it would make the story more interesting for an audience, but number two, I felt like, well, young married couple, like it kind of fits, where it could go. Um, so it was, the experience of watching the project evolve. Like at some point when we're not on here, you have to send me the original
Oh, I
story that
will.
you send to
Sure.
Francesco, because it's like a game of telephone. That I was like, as we're sitting here talking, I'm like, I never saw the original story. Like I saw his script and kind of reworked that. You're not like I didn't throw the whole thing
Mhm.
out. Like it just, made some changes to dialogue and scenarios. But like I said, I can't say enough that it's look, I tell everybody on every film, whether it's a short or a feature, we become a family after this. We're all going to be bound by this project forever. 100 years from now, we're all gone. This will be somewhere where people will watch it. And when they look up who made this movie, they're going to see a whole bunch of names next to each other
Mhm.
that worked on this together. We're intrinsically bound forever by this project. So I look at every film like, I guess you could say in a spiritual way, but I really put my heart and soul into it because it's something that's immortalized and it's going to live on forever. It's part of your legacy on earth of this is something I created. That's why it's probably something that attracted me to film in the first place, was knowing that it's a profession where you get to leave a piece of yourself behind forever. And
Yes.
this is another one of those projects that spoke to me. I can't wait to the next one. I'm already like, we have to finish this one, but I can't wait to see what the next one is.
Right, right. Either can I. I'm up at night thinking already. So, yeah, I uh, I agree with what you're saying completely. And I'm so um, lucky that really you came into my life, and also, but also in the past,
Well, I'm lucky
I
too.
don't know if I would be here if I hadn't met the fellow that's running the show, Hercules, because we did this crazy stuff years ago in New York, public television. We're, on a very small amount of money, you could have your own show week after week after week.
Sure.
And we each had our own show, but we often came on each other's shows. And that's a lot where the Enchanted Self came to exist. And it was, it was so crazy in retrospect. I would dress up. I still kind of dress up. I like that feeling. And I would be like in a fake garden on a stage, and then someone would knock on the door and come into the garden, the Enchanted Self garden. It was really quite silly, but it worked.
Sure.
It worked. And those films are still out in the world. Once in a while, my son, who has a lot of trouble sleeping, will wake up and see me on TV from one of these shows, with a guest. And he'll like, oh my God, it's sort of nutty because it feels so weird. But
Yeah. I didn't even know that about you. That's funny.
yeah,
Like, it's cool.
yeah. I went into New York once a month and paid toward the shows as everyone did, and they were crazy. Remember, do you remember the building we were in, Hercules?
Yeah, on 23rd Street. I went and visited there. There's no television studios there anymore. It's all fire people, fire.
Yeah. And the cameras, I mean, the man who ran it was very mean. He wasn't nice, but the guys who ran the cameras were nice.
Yes. I don't remember the guy. He wasn't mean to me, I don't think. But the guys who did the cameras were really nice. I don't know if I shared this with you, but you actually, uh, a shadow of our creative teaming hit me years before we connected. When I first came to the idea of doing a show, I was writing down ideas in a notebook, and I went to a bookstore and sat down and looked through the books in the psychology section, the paranormal section, and different sections. And I looked for authors that I would love to talk to if I had a show. And the show wasn't even a fantasy back then, it was just an idea. And I don't have these papers anymore, but I found that years after we connected and done shows, that your name was on my first list of people that I wanted to talk to because of the Enchanted Self. It was on the
Oh,
rack, and I looked through it and said, "This is someone I need to talk to." And although I forgot about it because it took years for the idea to become a reality, the universe didn't forget and connected us, and I'm very grateful for that.
well, I'm grateful for it too. Joe, I don't want to push you. Are you feeling a pressure to leave or
I gotta go in a couple minutes because there's just something I have to finish for tomorrow.
okay?
So,
Any last,
but I don't want to be rude and just jump away either. So,
yeah. Well,
and
just
you see, like when I told you before, I didn't know if I can make it. You seemed upset. I'm like, all right, I gotta jump on for a few minutes. So,
yeah, well, it's good. It's good to go out there in space, and now you and Hercules know each other.
sure,
There
absolutely.
may other strings that'll come and go, and people of quality, and you don't know where it's going to lead. So I appreciate you coming at the last minute. And um, any last words of wisdom or anything?
I mean, I love what I just learned about that. That you were doing that. It's like
Public,
public broadcasting,
yeah,
local TV thing, right? Like
right.
it's kind of like I don't know if you ever saw the movie Wayne's World, like kind of like the show that they had or the
Yes.
skit on SNL. Like that's okay. Yeah, I'm less familiar because
Mhm.
I guess
You're
I'm not
younger.
less familiar. I probably saw a lot of that stuff growing up, but I just think it's so cool that you did that. I think creating your own thing is the best thing that people can do. I came into the business. I got a business degree, and I knew by the time I graduated that I had no business or no interest working in an office, and I wanted to go into film. And everyone said, well, you have to work as an intern somewhere and work your way up. And I didn't want to take that path. I just wanted to start creating my own stuff right away. And if you look at that stuff I created, then it's awful.
No, no, the book I read or the play that I read was very good. It
Oh,
really
I'm
was.
talking even before that. So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
yeah, just even also the physical filming of what I did, like what it looked
Yeah.
like compared to, I mean, just wait, you haven't even seen the screenshots, Barbara,
No,
of like what
no,
what we shot at the restaurant. Like
I
it looks
know.
it looks like anything you'll see on Netflix or a movie theater. Like
I
we
can't,
really crushed it. It looks beautiful.
yes, that's what I've
Um,
heard.
but like I said, I I just think it speaks to what you guys did, going having your own shows. It's like create your own stuff and then keep going.
Right,
And keep going is the other half of that, because I think you have to have the courage to try and do it first, which is great. But then you have to keep going, because nobody's going to be great right away. You have to work a lot of years at it and keep chipping away, because you have to be great and you have to be lucky to make it. And the only way you're
exactly.
going to do that is to first try and then persist.
Yes,
So
yes,
that's what I tell everybody. Filmmaking is not for the faint of heart, but if you do it, it's the most rewarding thing you could ever possibly do.
I agree. Well, till next time, till we meet again, and I hope you and Hercules will meet again at some
Absolutely. Yeah.
point.
Hercules, it's great to meet you. And I'd love to talk more about all your experiences and everything.
Well, we'll be following your adventures with Barbara and Russell every time you hit a milestone. So you're going to be on the show a lot.
Absolutely. They've only just begun. So
Good.
Okay, thank
thank
you.
you both very much.
Good
And much
night.
success in
Good
all your
night.
endeavors.
Thank you. You too.
Okay, I'm glad we finally put that
Yes, I'm glad
together.
that happened.
And I have definitely have some things I was going to share.
Okay.
So I think it's very interesting that at the same time that we're working on this film, I finished, where is it? I finished this book, which you tell me when it gets in, you can see it.
I can see it.
Okay. So I've been working a year and a half or so on these girls that, of course, are imaginary figures. And they are so completely different than um, this book. So here we have these girls are 20 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, and they're just coming of age in terms of being young adults. While the film version of my story, first of all, a lot of it is really happened to us. We were
Mhm.
already in middle age when it happened, so we weren't kids at all. Um, so the film makes probably is going to make us a little younger than we actually were, but that's the way it is. Things always get stylized to some extent.
Sure.
But I think it's so fascinating that I've been able to have the gift of working on more than one level. Like it's one thing if you just teach third grade, or it's one thing if you're working on something, an invention even that, but this is where the whole quality of what's happening in the book as compared to in the film is so different. It's like night and day, but it feels so good and so fun. So I was going to read you a little bit
Awesome.
from each of those.
And
So
I have copies of that book when it first came out. You send me a copy. And before then, you send me the fragments of it, which I read.
right, but this is actually the next book.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
so this one is about two girls rather than the three girls. Um, yeah, but you have a sense of what they're about.
Mhm.
So all right, so I'll start with a little bit that comes from this book, Women's Freedom, The Dawn of Possibilities. Now, the one girl has come to school to go to college. She doesn't really know anybody yet, and she's been invited by a friend, a possible friend, to come to the friend's aunt's house, which she is thinking about doing. So I'll just want to read bits and pieces that are sort of about her life and the way she thinks. Madison felt excited. Diana was very pretty, and somehow Madison didn't know how to put it into words. She was more sophisticated and sharper than many of the other freshman girls. She didn't live on campus, which was not that unusual, um, because a lot of the kids lived at home. Madison didn't know where she lived, but she knew it was with an aunt somewhere. She eagerly explored her own mind. Was it a beautiful townhouse? Was Diana really rich? Maybe someday Diana would be rich, or was she not? Madison would feel sorry for her and even offer her hand-me-downs clothes if she was poor. So far, the girls in the dorm seemed so babyish, she couldn't even relate to them. So she goes on the subway to meet up with this gal. And at first, she was so pleased to be welcomed that she didn't even notice that Diana was smoking. And as time went on in this episode, um, Diana told her it's pot. It has a distinct odor. You haven't smoked pot? I'm surprised. God, you're missing a lot. Oh, Madison mumbled, let's get out of here and go for lunch. She was getting scared. I'm sorry. Okay. Oh, don't be ridiculous. I invited you to my home, or should I say my aunt's home. My aunt gets the best stuff. She has all sorts of connections. She even has some guys in upstate New York who have a marijuana farm and owe her. She might, she'll tell you all about it. She likes your type. Innocent looking, but underneath lies a heart of passion, right? Madison is sort of like, not, she's getting scared. She felt terrified and not safe. This beautiful girl with golden hair and bright blue eyes turned creepy right before her eyes. She had to get out of this place and back on the subway. So, what do you say? Shall I light a cig for you? Oh, okay, I guess so. Madison felt as if her body had turned into a stone statue in the living room. She had lost her ability to say how she really felt. Perhaps Diana was a magician who had hypnotized her. She could still think over what she wanted to do, which was to leave and catch the subway back to her dorm, but she couldn't say it. This was awful. And it ends, I'm not going to read really any more of that particular thing, but she ends up really, she gets out of there, but it's uncomfortable. So, you see a young lady who has all the normal things going as far as she feels pretty. She wants to have friends. She wants things, all sorts of urges and thoughts that I think go with being young.
And that has been one of the things I've watched throughout all the time I've known you, that you've been able to focus on periods in a person's life and really put it together so that it's understandable to everyone. And that's what first attracted me to the Enchanted Self too. Even though it was written for women and with women in mind, it was universal and applicable to everybody. It certainly helped me in my particular life's journey.
Yeah, I think it is true. I think I am able to do that. And I'm very psychologically now, from my perspective, I really fell in love with these two girls. I
Hmm.
don't mean weird in love, but when you like are just crazy about someone in your family, a niece or a nephew, or you want the best for them,
Hmm.
they became very real in the sense of how can I write what I need to write and yet make sure that they are handled with care, so to speak, and that they get a chance. And this is 1960, and 1960, even the next couple of years, were not easy years for young women. There still was, very little in the way of easy birth control and all that stuff. And a woman could not have a charge card unless her father or her husband or maybe the grandfather took it out. She couldn't, and really you couldn't even walk around with much money in your pocket because normally, as we see as the years have gone by, things like credit cards give you a safe way to even handle money. So things were very different then. But being my age range that I am, I do, I remember these things. If they didn't happen to me, I know other people.
What
So,
about this movement to go back in time to restrict the rights of women and to go back to a paradise before the 1960s when it wasn't a paradise to very many people, but it was to the people who are trying to bring it back.
do you mean the men who were holding on to old rules like women could not inherit? I don't know exactly what you're talking about.
We live in a world now and in a country now, in a time now where women are losing their bodily autonomy.
Yeah,
And there are movements that are actively working to push the boundaries and to make them stronger and to go back in time to what they perceived was a paradise for people like them. But it's not a paradise for women. It's not a paradise for minorities. It's not a paradise for immigrants. I find it very alarming that people want to go backwards instead of embracing the future and change. They want to go back in fantasies that never really existed.
right, right. Yes, they never really existed. I am sure that very few women, in the 1500s, even if they maybe the husband died, let's say, and they ran the farm, I don't think that they had good access to health care, delivering a baby, anything. People were lucky if they lived to be 35,
Yeah,
you know? So, yeah, one reason I wrote this book also is because as these girls go through being a little bit older into the early 1960s, they do get certain opportunities, not a lot, but certain things. And in general, by 1970, there was some improvement in this country, particularly this country, around a lot of things that affected women. But let me not get too distracted because I want to compare that with the film.
sure.
Not the film, I should say the original things that led to what we talked about. But this is stuff I wrote. This is not stuff that was rewritten, for the film. So, but it's still, I had an affair with my husband. Scene one. Can you imagine waking up and discovering that the man in your bed is not your husband? And to top it off, he wants to know if you had a good time last night. That's what happened to me, and I'm still trying to get over the shock. I went to bed with my husband. It was great. And in the morning, well, I better go back to the beginning. At least what seemed to be the beginning of the affair I have been having with my husband. It all started that day we were driving into the mountains in Oregon. It was the second day of endless driving, and if there's one thing I hate, it's too much driving. And if there's another thing I hate, it's not having anywhere to pee. I was getting angrier and angrier. The views were gorgeous, but who cared? I needed a bathroom. I was starving. Let us be honest. I'm not very polite when my appetite and bathroom bells have gone off. In fact, I'm mean. I was letting my husband know exactly how I felt when suddenly he turned to me and, honest to God, another voice came out of his mouth. That voice was very gentlemanly and spoke in an Indian accent. He proceeded to say to me with an Indian lilt, "Don't be so angry at him. He's only trying to give you a good time. He wants to find a place to eat and relieve yourself just as much as you want to find it." I found myself laughing. My husband seemed perplexed. He said, "Maybe you're imagining things with the altitude. Look, there's a rest stop. Let's stop." So that's uh a little look into the origin of this whole, what I'll call a story, then now going into a film, hope maybe still the book. And you see how different, it's like night and day, just these two things.
Yes, it's beautiful. I'm looking forward to reading it in book form as well as seeing it in the film. And again, you have a catchy title. You have a great introduction. That is an excellent introduction. I can't imagine you mean, but that's besides the story. But that sounds awesome, Barbara.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I really am. I'm very lucky, to have opportunities. Um, and I hope that we can also help people along the way. I mean, my husband and I, as you know, have invested many years of our lives in servicing people in terms of their mental health and the way they can begin to improve the way they feel and react in life. And we take it very seriously because when you're depressed or when you're out of sorts, it can be absolutely torture. So, I still see myself as an active psychologist in terms of discussing lots of the issues that can come up between these two books, you know. And hopefully, whatever, a seminar, different ways of expanding the issues that are there. And I look forward to that. Um, I want to do a film very, very much around these girls. Now, I'm not sure how we're going to work that out. I would be satisfied if we had to, if we started with a small film. The film we're working on now will run 25 to 30 minutes. That's great, but it's not a full film.
Right.
It's not considered a full film.
But you can put the film on one of the funding sites,
Yeah, yeah,
and this way people can see what you're talking about when you describe what you want to do, and they can contribute to it. And that might be a productive way of doing it.
exactly. That's right. So if that has to be, then I can easily suggest a 25-minute film about these girls. Now, it's not going to cover the book, obviously. This
Right.
is my longest book. It's 300 pages.
It'll whet the appetite for more.
But, if we can get it out and recognized and the concepts, and it's an enjoyable film, um, yeah, we'll see. So um, that's where that stands. So as we approach 10 o'clock, I think That's what I had to, I shared what I wanted to. I was happy that I could get you to meet. Joe, it's hard to bring men together. It has to be just, doesn't often work. Uh,
Mhm.
but I do think that he has a lot of the, whatever it is, it's a magnetism in to grow and everything that you have, that I have. And I think he has it too.
Oh, he definitely has a shot. I remember when we were doing our show, I was working with Trauma Entertainment. They made some weird movies like The Toxic Avenger and so forth. And somebody that was working on a project with them at the time, they lost the original director that they had, and they got somebody else like really quick. His name was James Gunn, and James Gunn is now one of the best known directors and producers in our planet. He's worked for Disney on the Marvel universe, and he works for Warner Brothers now in the DC comic book universe. But he's made a lot of independent films before that on his own. So if he can rise during that time, why can't Joe?
Right, exactly.
Just don't give up and keep moving.
That's right. That's right. Well, this was fun, and I look forward to next month.
Me too. How can people find you? How can they learn more about your project?
Yes.
How can they invest
Well,
in your new film?
the easiest way to find me is enchantedself.com. It has a lot of stuff. It has some of my films, it has some of my writings, it has other ways to get in touch with me. And as far as this film, as soon as I can push a little bit on Joe and he's ready, we'll design a trailer. I think that'll probably be the first step, so you have something you can show people just to whet their appetite, a minute or a minute and a half, coming soon kind of thing.
I will
Uh,
link these things as soon as you achieve them, and we'll follow the progress of the show on our show.
Good, great. So thank you for having me and letting us do this show together. And I hope you have a great few weeks and we'll be back.
Same here. Give my regards to Russell
I will.
and success in all your
Yeah.
endeavors. And I look forward to learning and hearing more.
Okay.
Okay,
Uh,
to everybody, thank you very much. And thank you, Barbara, for being here. And until next time, I wish you joyous journeys and amazing adventures and a very happy and healthy holiday season.
Thank you, and the same to you. Goodbye for now, and thanks again for this particular show. It was just what I wanted, just
And
what I needed. Thank
ditto
you.
to you. Be well, Barbara.
Bye bye.